We let AI do so much for us these days. It tells us the fastest way to get to work, it picks the next show we're going to binge watch. But as these systems get woven deeper and deeper into our lives, it begs a really important question. Are we slowly handing over the keys to our own future? So, let's just cut to the chase. I've got a question for you. Who decides your future? And you're probably thinking, well, I do, obviously. But what if I told you the answer is more and more often an algorithm? That's what we're going to dig into today. This quiet but massive shift of our own decision-making power over to AI. And look, this isn't some distant sci-fi nightmare we're talking about. This is happening right now. Just take this story from a hospital in Los Angeles. They brought in an AI system to handle nurse scheduling. The goal? Maximum efficiency, of course. But the system started slashing hours, totally ignoring the nurses' years of experience, their expertise, and just their basic human needs. This is the quiet revolution happening right under our noses. And that story? Wow, it's a perfect lead-in to our first big idea here, what it means to be losing control to code. We're talking about a fundamental erosion of our autonomy, where our power to make choices for ourselves is just slowly being written out of the equation. Think about the gig economy for a second. It's basically built on this constant tug of war. On one side, you've got the workers who need, fair pay, a safe environment, a schedule they can plan a life around. But on the other side, you've got us, the consumers. And what do we want? We want it fast, we want it cheap, we want it now. The algorithms running the show, they almost always side with the consumer, leaving workers stuck in these really unpredictable and often kind of draining situations. And this isn't just about getting a pizza delivered faster, right? This loss of control is creeping into the biggest moments of our lives. Algorithms are now in the room when decisions are made about who gets a job, who's approved for a loan, and even who gets sent to jail. In places like France and Australia, we've seen AI systems automatically cut off social welfare for thousands of people, often with zero explanation and no real way to fight back. But here's the tricky part. This whole loss of control thing, it's not always some big, obvious takeover. And that brings us to our second point, the illusion of choice. This is all about how algorithms don't just decide for us, they also steer our behavior with subtle nudges and sometimes not so subtle punishments. Just think about your own day. That news feed you scroll through, it's been carefully crafted to hold your attention. The stuff that pops up on Amazon, all designed to get you to click buy. Heck, even who pops up on your dating app is being prioritized by an AI. It can start to feel like the app is the one deciding who you even get a chance to meet. Okay, so those are kind of the subtle nudges, right? But in some parts of the world, this isn't a nudge, it's a shove. And the consequences are, well, they're way more severe. Take a look at this. This is a real-world, full-blown system of algorithmic governance, China's social credit system. Everything you do, from a traffic violation to defaulting on a loan, can lower your score. And a low score isn't just a number. It means you could be banned from traveling, blacklisted from certain jobs, publicly shamed. It could even stop your kids from getting into good schools. This is systemic control, and it's all running on data and algorithms. So all of this, it just leads to a massive question, doesn't it? Even if we were okay with this level of control, could we at least trust the machines to be, fair, neutral? Well, that leads us right into our third section, bias in the machine, and the uncomfortable truth that AI doesn't just learn from us, it learns our prejudices, and then it puts them on steroids. So what is algorithmic bias really? It's not just that the AI sees the flaws in the data we feed it. It's that it takes those human flaws, those prejudices, and it systematizes them, it automates them, and it spreads them on a massive scale, essentially hard-coding our worst impulses into the infrastructure of our lives. And if you want a perfect, almost unbelievable example of this, check out this 2023 study. Researchers asked ChatGPT to write some recommendation letters. The results? Absolutely wild. For men, it spat out words like expert, integrity, respectful. For women, it used words like beauty, delight, warm, and emotional. I mean, come on, it's a textbook case of how deep these gender stereotypes run in these models. And it's not just about gender stereotypes. The 2024 study dug into political bias and found that ChatGPT consistently leaned a certain way. It tended to favor the Democrats in the US, Lula da Silva in Brazil, and the Labour Party in the UK. Now, the point here isn't to say which party is right or wrong. The real danger is having what we think is a neutral tool quietly pushing us in one direction,
creating the same kind of echo chambers we already hate on social media.
So, where the heck does all this bias even come from? Well, it pretty much boils down to three things. First, the data we train it on is a reflection of our already biased world. Second, the way the model is built makes it look for certain patterns more than others. And third, even the safety rules that developers put in place can end up accidentally baking in a specific set of values. The takeaway here? Total perfect neutrality is probably impossible.
All right, I know. This is all starting to sound pretty grim, maybe a little dystopian. But here's the good news. This isn't a done deal. The future isn't written yet. And that brings us to our fourth and much more hopeful section, fighting for a human future, and how people are already starting to reclaim control.
And people are already fighting back and winning. Just look at this timeline. Back in 2020, Spain's Supreme Court made a huge ruling that forced delivery platforms to open up the black box and show how their algorithms actually work. And then, just this year, in 2024, the EU passed the AI Act. This is the landmark piece of legislation that basically says no more secrets for AI used in really important stuff like hiring or law enforcement. And this fight is happening everywhere, from the ground up. You've got delivery riders taking these giant companies to court and winning. You've got workers who are retraining, learning to work with robots as partners, not just being replaced by them. And in one of the coolest examples, you have indigenous communities taking this powerful technology and using it on their own terms to preserve and revitalize their native languages. It's amazing. So when you take all of this, the problems, the bias, but also the pushback, it all comes down to one single massive question for our time. The ultimate question, really. Who is going to shape AI?
And the book this is all based on puts it in a way that just, well, it hits you. It says the question is not whether AI will shape our future, but who will shape AI. Because at the end of the day, how we answer that question, it's going to decide everything. It will decide whether we get to stay the authors of our own lives, or if we just end up as characters in a story that was written for us by code. So everything we've talked about today comes from the book Homo-Servus, The Collapse of Human Sovereignty in the Digital Era. It was written by Dr. Wahiba Malawi, Dr. Mubarakut Muhammad, and Dr. Halima Malawi. If this got you thinking and you want to go deeper, you can find it on Amazon Books, and there's more info at homoservice.org.